So Brixton, it was ghetto, but it was very much like home, and it felt like home. And I had found my group of girls. So at that point, I'm like, okay, that was in Southwest. So I'm like, all right, well, let me see about finding somewhere in Southwest. I didn't find anywhere in Southwest, but I did find somewhere in Northwest. There is a company. I don't even know if I should give this one, not because I don't want to share it, but you know how something is so good, sometimes when you share it, too many people find out, and then when you go back to it, it's not available anymore. It's like that. So y'all let me go there one more time and let me use it, and then I'll tell y'all. But it pretty much is a company, like, it's very complicated, especially if you're a visitor and not a resident or a citizen or someone who has a visa. When you go to UK, like, your paperwork has to be in order. They do not play no games around there, okay? And if they catch you scheming and scamming on immigrancy, if you get caught, you cannot never go back there again. And a part of why I went to UK is kind of like still on a continuous cycle. So I'm like, no, I need to be able to get back here if I need to come back. So I was trying to follow proper protocol. Okay. So there was a company that geared specifically to companies, I mean, to people who had short-term stay, but it would be like a full apartment. But it wasn't like any of the apps or anything like that. It was like face-to-face, person-to-person. You meet them, you see the place, and then you either pay every 2 weeks or you pay every month. I thought that was good. It was $1,100 for a studio, $1,100 in GBP. I think that winds up being about $1,500. Utilities all included, and then you can stay however long you want. That was good. But when I got to Brixton, I feel like it wasn't the first week that I met the girls. It was the next week after I met T. I met up with her again after Juma that next weekend, I believe. And there was a girl with her. I'll call her Kay. A sister. She had two houses. She had a house in Birmingham, and then she had a house which is 2 hours away from, like 2.5 hours away from London, and then she had a house in London. And what wound up happening was T wound up talking to Kay, and Kay, they wound up agreeing like, all right, I'm going to stay at one of Kay's spots. So she was like, which one do you want to stay at? And obviously I want to stay in London because it's summertime. It's about to get lit. And I already met my group of girls, so we about to get the business for the summer, right? Even though it's still kind of like springish, but once the sun starts shining, I was hyped. I was outside, but I wound up staying with Kay, but we did a house share. So that's when you rent a room out of a full house, and I appreciate it because it allowed me to save money, because I would have been paying $1,500 for a studio. I would have had my own space, yes. But remember I told y'all, when I started getting, like, when I was there for a while, I started to reconsider the way that I had been spending. I'm like, let me be a little bit more tight, because you never know the way things are going to go. And I don't want to have spent more and have less. I'd rather spend less and have more. And then on top of that, if you know anything about meetups with the girls, all it consists of is food. So you need money for food. You got to eat. So I spent majority of my money on food. So the house share thing worked out. It did. So I was in Southwest London. I was right around the corner from the masjid. I was right around the corner from the sister circle. Then sometimes the sister circle for Brixton would go to East London. It was lit. It was very, very nice. They did a lot of events. They did a lot of like stuff at the park. They did a lot of like fun games. We did squid games. It was a lot of things. Like, London is so good for Islamic culture. I mean, like a bunch of Islamic cultured stuff. It's really good for halal food, and it's really good for if you want to go to classes or if you want to learn. Like, it's good for that. Even though it is a European country, you can get some form of benefit if you do go there. And I know anywhere that I go, I want to be around people who kind of like look like me and kind of live like me. So there's the understanding of what's going on, even outside of like the big city, right? I want to be able to be relatable and be able to relate to what's around me. So London worked out for me. In addition to that, yeah, I did humble myself. I did. I got very humble, but I met an amazing group of sisters. Why did I go? We can name several reasons why from just the story alone. Let's see. Let's name it together. One, the two sisters who started my desire and hunger to want to be able to leave. Two, I was annoyed at the fact that I had missed my program, my school program deadline. So the idea that I had to wait another 12 months, I said, let's make the most of the 12 months. Third, the remote job just came in handy. Like, it just worked out. So I said, if God is going to give it, why not take it? Then I always wanted to go to London because of the reasons that I said before: the food, the culture, the vibes. And really it gives New York, but just more space. And it's a melting pot. So it really is a New York City, but just imagine New York City more spaced out. That's London. Also, because I'm a city girl and I come from the city, like, it wasn't foreign to me. As soon as I got there, because my sister told me that I was going to have a culture shock and I was going to break down. I went there, I was looking around, I'm like, is this New York or DC? That's how I looked. So I kind of just go with the flow. I was going with the flow. So where we at 4? Okay, the next one after that, another reason would be because once I realized when I got there that, hey, I can go to school here, I was like, well, let me apply here. I might be able to get into school before 12 months when the next program starts here. And come to find out, the prices are kind of very identical to United States for the program that I was trying to get into. So I'm like, I started applying to schools there. That I didn't plan for that, but it was in the back of my mind, but it came to the front of my mind. It was actually something that I started working on when I got there. Something else was a reason, I would say, why I just was ready for something new. Have you ever felt like, what am I doing? What time is being wasted? What can I do with this time? What will set my heart on fire? I started feeling like I had been holding back doing stuff that I wanted to do because of other people. And because of that, it was like burning my soul on top of my annoyance about the deadline. I won't forget that. I'm not going to lie. Sometimes I'm a little petty. So I was still also annoyed about that. So I said, I'm out. We're going to just live it up. However way we live it, wherever we go. So that's it. Also, I'm not going to lie to y'all. And we'll talk about this in another video too, because I got a lot of videos to go through on telling the tea. I was there for marriage. Give me a halal British speaking brother and tell me I won't be okay. Yeah. So that was another thing. You know what I'm saying? I was vibing. It was a vibe. And I will tell you, I'm not going to say that the pool of men there doesn't still have poop in it, but I feel like it gives you more opportunity to, like, not have to deal with someone who already has kids, who had already been married before, or potentially meet a family like that's the whole family's Muslim, and it not be like, you know, maybe all like only converts or like reverts. So it gave a little bit of a mix. And if y'all can tell anything about me so far from just this one video, I like to switch stuff up. I like flavors. I'm an explorer. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't mad about it. I was going with the flow. So those were several reasons why, on top of the fact that I just was ready to live a little. I was ready. And as we go through more of these videos, y'all learn more about the aspects of my life, because this travel piece was like, it was a big portion, but it's not even all of it. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to try to piece everything together as I go through each one of these videos. So by the time you watched a few, you're like, oh, it all comes together like this. So yes, this is the layout of how I went to UK from America as a covered Muslim girl and figured it out. Oh, I also want to tell y'all, one of my best friends, she went to Paris. And guess what I did? She went to Paris in June. I caught a flight. I think it was less than $100. And I went to Paris to go and visit her, and I stayed with her for a weekend. It was nice. So then I came back. So January, so February, March, April, May, June, July. My time technically would have been up in July, but I had already, because I went to Turkey, what I realized when I stamped my passport in Turkey and came back to London, it reset the 6 months. So it's not necessarily on a full calendar year. If you leave before 6 months, depending on how long you're gone for, it could potentially reset. And I don't know if it, and how I know it did that is because as soon as I came back from Turkey was around the time that I started looking for places. So I had to have people check my documents to make sure I was able to legally rent there as a visitor. So that's how I knew, because they had counted my passport stamp from Turkey. They didn't count my original timestamp that was at the end of January. So it reset my 6 months to then become March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, to like October, November-ish. Yes, fun fact to find out in the midst of this whole thing. And the amazing thing part, another part too, you can plan, but then you always find out the plans don't always go to plans, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. But I'm gonna go because this is a little bit longer than I planned to, but I tried to get in as much as I possibly could into the story. But I'll be back for another one, okay? If y'all want to know more about my crazy life and the random things that I do, like, share, and also subscribe to my YouTube channel. See y'all in the next one. Salams. Peace.